Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe, that is Jay, and this is Transfers Live. We've got loads of news coming up. We see here Sheikh Jassim's budget increase. We'll see the latest there. Reports coming out tonight about transfer budgets. United being given more money if Sheikh Jassim takes over. We'll see how that works around FFP, what exactly that means for Manchester United. We'll also be looking at Harry Kane. United seemingly pulling out of that deal. One deal United haven't pulled out of is the Mason Mount approach. A bid has gone in there. We'll get the latest on that. There's all other sorts of stuff going on as well. Thuram, little bits and bobs all around Europe. There's so many transfers going on. And I'm sure we might comment on a few of the other transfers around the world as well. Arsenal want Kai Havertz. What the hell's all that about? First of all, Jay, how are you?
I'm good. I like this.
Yeah.
Transfer season.
It's good,
The proper season.
Yeah.
No one cares who won the league and who won the Champions League and
I
who
can't
won
even
anything
remember.
else. Other than the Carabao, no one cares.
No.
Right. This is what you care about. Transfers.
Yeah.
Forget trophies. Been there, done all that. Forget games and goals. Instantly forgettable. It's boring. Transfers, yeah. I remember where I was when I saw Alexis Sanchez playing that piano.
Where were you?
I was in a cell,
Yeah.
wearing a white jacket,
Yeah.
saying we're going to win the league.
Yeah. And you were right.
I was right.
You were right on that occasion.
Yeah, well, we didn't
The League
postpone City winning it by a week, which is
League
technically,
Cup. 6 years
as
later.
good as winning it. Yeah.
Let's start with Harry Kane, shall we? Get your thoughts in the comments. We'll get to the Sheikh Jassim story later on. But Manchester United pull out of Kane. We ran out
Can
of...
we address this?
Yeah, go on.
The absolute puerile humour that goes on in this studio. Who's responsible for this headline? Hands up.
It was better than the 10.
Put your hand up if it was you.
It was better than the what?
The 10 Hag alternative.
What was the Ten Hag alternative?
10 Hag pulls over.
Ten Hag pulls out of Kane. That is what we're dealing with.
My favourite bit is
I love the fact that he glanced to producer Ethan glanced at producer Callum like, shall I take responsibility for what I've done?
I love the idea
Is
as
it-
well that they were the only two options.
Yeah.
It's either United pull out of Kane or the even more vulgar Ten Hag pulls out of Kane, neither of which make grammatical sense. United pull out of Kane race, should we say, or Kane transfer. We'll add the word on here. I might get it in biro and write it on the wall, just so people know we're not completely childish. Manchester United have ended their interest in signing Harry Kane this summer. Big story this, actually, coming out of The Guardian and then reported by Whitwell, etc.
Witters.
Others. United feel the money it will take to lure Kane to Old Trafford is unrealistic. Erik ten Hag had made the player his primary target and is disappointed that it's fallen through, but understands the club cannot go past a certain point when it comes to the cost and overall package for a 29-year-old who has 1 year left on his contract. Daniel Levy is keen to hold on to Kane in the hope that he signs a new contract, and despite the knowledge that he could lose the striker for free next summer, Real Madrid have also expressed an interest in Kane, but Kylian Mbappe is now a possible option. Big story, this.
Massive.
And it's one that we've been kind of drifting towards for maybe 10 days or so now, since we first heard that news of basically Daniel Levy's not letting him go, not letting him go to a rival. And I think a lot of us thought that was maybe a transfer tactic rather than an absolute. But I'll be honest, I'm gutted about this.
Yeah.
I am absolutely
You've always
gutted
wanted
about
him,
this.
haven't you?
Because he, as I've said for, 6 weeks, 2 months, however long we've been sort of genuinely linked with him for, he's the best striker on earth that is available this summer, I think. I mean, maybe you can put Mbappe in that conversation now with what's gone on over the last couple of days, but I still think Mbappe's best off the left, and we've already got, statistically, one of the most productive left wingers in the world already, Marcus Rashford. I'm not saying I wouldn't, the Mbappe thing's a separate issue. When it comes to number 9s, there's only, I think, 2 or 3 in the world better than him, full stop, and none of them are available. I genuinely think he's as good as anyone, except maybe Haaland, in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net. And
I was going to say, who else would you say is better than him?
on
right
current
now.
form, Haaland.
Yeah, I
think,
agree.
I mean,
agree.
Benzema and Lewandowski, I know Lewandowski didn't actually win it, but was a sort of Ballon d'Or in wait in the year. There wasn't one, wasn't he? And then Benzema won it the year after. Or it was Messi and then Benzema, whatever.
Yeah.
So those two have won it in the last 3 years. But I think they've both dropped off a little bit as they reach the sort of mid-30s. I think Kane, other than Haaland, is probably the best striker in the world, yeah. And again, maybe you'd put Mbappe in that conversation as well if you consider him to be a striker. But it takes away a lot of how good United could be next season not having Harry Kane. I think there is now a limit to how to what we can realistically expect from this window, which is really disappointing actually, because it could have been one of the best windows we've had in a long time, and now the best it can be is as good as last year, which to me is I mean, unless something mental happens like an Mbappe link or, you know, Qatar takeover and they sort of switch Mbappe, you know, I don't know, things can happen that you don't expect, but that was the big one, that was the primary target, that was Ten Hag's #1 guy, and now we aren't going to get him. Everything after this is now second choice, second best. And that is a bit shit, isn't it?
It is, and I'm disappointed I would have had him. Me and you spoke about a lot about this, and we did a Osimhen and Kane debate, and I remember saying to you the other day, you know what, I'd have Kane. And originally I said Osimhen, we had Rio Ferdinand on there, and he said the same. He said he couldn't get Kane in. I'll be honest with you though, the one issue I have around this, I'm not just saying it because we haven't got him now, I would have had him, is I don't think if we get Harry Kane win the league.
Yeah.
There was a time when I thought that maybe that was a possibility. I just don't, and I hate to say this because I hate them, but I think City are just too far ahead of us at the minute. I don't think Harry Kane makes us the title winners.
Yeah.
And I think what we might have to do is get 2 or 3 players in who are, over the next 3 or 4 years, going to move us forward, and then maybe in 2 years' time, or even maybe in 3, we might have to suck it up, and then we win a title. And I think that might be the case. And I know by that time we are going to have to replace Varane. We are going to have to probably replace Casemiro.
Yeah.
But that is the nature of the beast. We can't have it. I don't think there's a scenario where you give the manager a budget that he has to stick with in FFP, and we go out and buy a title-winning team for next season. I think that's going to be extremely unlikely. It can happen. Don't get me wrong. It can. I'm not saying it can't. I just don't think it will. And I think we might have to buy 3 or 4 players who are early to mid-20s, and then again in the next summer, and then you're going to win the title. I think that might be the scenario which sees us overtake City, because City right now are where we were in 99. In 99, I don't just mean because we won the treble, we were that dominant that the next season and the season after that, we won the title.
Yeah.
Almost with a weakened team.
Yeah.
Because Stam got injured for the 3rd season he was there, only played 15 league games. Massive loss losing Jaap Stam for over half the season. Yet we walked the league.
Yeah.
The greatest defender I've ever seen was out for most of it. We walked it because we were so far ahead of everyone else. And this was an Arsenal team that won the double before we won the treble. And I just feel like United might be in that period now. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we win the league next season, obviously. But I think we might just have to start thinking a little bit more long term. Like we did in 2004 under Fergie.
Yeah.
Where Chelsea came in, Mourinho, dominated the league that season, and we were buying the likes of Ronaldo and Rooney, and it was a little bit more long term.
Yeah.
And within 2 years, we'd won. Well, 3 years we went on to win 3 in a row, and another Champions League. I think that's where we might be now. Just going to go into some comments and I'll get your thoughts. SK says it's actually good that we've pulled out because we are serious. Levy will take us for a ride and we'll miss out on others, or at least I hope. Mike, slightly different. I'm gutted the Kane deal isn't happening. My opinion is the missing piece we needed, but we move forward as always with the club. Other people getting in just the chat as well. Philip Collier says, if we're really struggling to find a striker, I'd be willing to give it a go. 10k a week and I'd probably accept. Okay. SK says, good point, Jay. We need a future superstars because Casemiro and others will likely be too old by the time we are ready to compete. I just feel we're in a transitional period. I know we are transitional FC. We're always in this period. But I think now we've got a manager we can believe in. We've got some great young players, the likes of Garnacho. Even Rashford's still only mid-20s. He's got another 4 or 5 years left in him, at least. And we're finally seeing the true markers with 30-goal seasons and stuff like that. We've also got Martinez, who's 24, I think. He's still got a few years left in him, of course. Bruno's late 20s, but the way he plays, I think he can go for another 5 years at least.
Yeah.
I just do. I think the kid's got an amazing engine on him. The likes of Wan-Bissaka, the likes of Luke Shaw have got time in him. There is a nucleus of a team there that can go on for another 4 or 5 years.
If you were to get Mount...
He's 24 as well. He's another
24. Basically, the main ageing players who would need replacing would be Varane and Casemiro, wouldn't they? And De Gea. They're the only ones above 30.
And can we just be honest as
and
well?
Eriksen, but that's...
We all love Casemiro.
Yeah.
And on his day, he's amazing, and I love the kid. But he has bad games for United.
Yeah.
And there's every chance that over the next 2 or 3 years, he isn't as good as he was last season. That is a realistic... And I don't want anyone to think I don't rate Casemiro, I'm slagging him off. He's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen. I've seen Keane, Robson, Carrick, the lot, right? So I'm not saying he's not mint. He is. But if you look at the amount of games he's played for Manchester United, the amount of games he's played that haven't been at his best, there is an argument that maybe next season his levels aren't as good as they were this season. He's 31 now. It can happen. So
yeah, it's just that thing in it
I think
of like.
you have to think of who's coming in after Casemiro already. I think we should be having that conversation now.
Well, I think they should be having that anyway. You should always be having that.
Yeah, you're right.
Of who's
you're right.
replacing
you're right.
your
That's
older
a
players.
Fantastic point. Yeah.
But I just think that if you are going to win something with Casemiro, if you are going to win something with Varane, then someone like Kane would have made sense for that.
I get that.
Because you can still get Kane and Rasmus Højlund, who I think we're going to get onto in a little bit, but even if we don't, like, he's someone that is young that looks like he might well come in. But there's no guarantee that we will get the next wave right either. So part of me thinks, go for it now.
Yeah.
Go for Kane now. Because, Rashford might get better in 3 years. He might not. Bruno might, start getting injuries, which he's never had, but he could do. Like, who knows which Luke Shaw we'll see in 3 years' time. A lot of the players who are younger, yes, obviously, we hope they'll all improve, but that's not necessarily the case. And will we get someone better than current Casemiro and current Varane to replace them? That's hard to do. Two of the best players in their position in history.
Even Varane, I agree, and I love Raphael Varane.
Yeah.
I think he's actually underrated, believe it or not. But he's a player that gets injured.
Yeah.
And it's not logical to think he's going to get less injuries as he gets older. He just ain't. Do you know what I mean? And he does suffer from injuries.
Yeah.
He has suffered. He's been injured more in the last few seasons than ever been in his career. So there's something happening there, and it's like that's why I think we're linked with Kim Min Jae. That's why the manager's looking at other options, because he needs someone who can be a reliable backup to Raphael Varane. Now you might argue that's Victor Lindelof, but I think another option is going to be Kim Min Jae, and I get it. So I just feel that we might have to suck it up a little bit and go, ain't going to happen next year. And don't get me wrong, I want it to, and I expect us to at least be in the conversation. I think we should be. That's the natural progression. But I think realistically winning the title, it might not be till 2025 rather than, or even 2026. And you know what? We've waited 10 years, and I think we can probably wait another 2 if we get it right. Because if we do win the title in a couple of years, that will be biblical. Yeah. That will be bigger than anything you've ever seen.
Should we move on to Mason Mount then? This is a report coming out this afternoon, but it's a weird one. A slightly unusual situation where the bid was made and rejected in sort of the same sentence. Do you ever use eBay?
Yeah, now and again.
There's a feature where it says like buy now or best offer.
Yeah.
So you can make a bid. So let's say you've listed your T-shirt. I'd say, what's that worth? 50 pence. Right?
My missus made me this.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's worth 50 pence, right?
No.
So if I offer you 40 pence, you can have it set so that any offer less than 50 pence is instantly rejected.
Right.
It's almost like that happened. We went 40 million, enter, bang, instant reply, rejected. Because Romano tweeted earlier, Manchester United have made a bid for Mason Mount, 40 million. Space. The bid was instantly rejected. Like, it's very rare that you see...
Not worry that our card got declined.
Oh, no.
I think that might have happened.
Yeah,
we put a bid in, and they've gone, all right, and you've put the card through, and they've gone, have you got another card? And we went, what? No. Try it again. We don't need to try it again.
Get a card like that.
Right.
Yeah, it might be the little chippy on it, because I've had it in my pocket. I had a Burger King earlier, so I might have got a bit of mayo on it.
Just let me wipe the sniff off it.
Yeah.
That might help. There you go. Try it now. And they've gone, no. And
you're like, I can't believe it.
Just really weird. Let me just make a call.
Let me just nip outside.
Yeah, you got on your phone and just walks off.
Yeah,
like,
just run away
yeah.
from Stamford Bridge. Do you think when a team makes a bid that they have to put their card in a card machine? Is that what you're genuinely suggesting?
Yeah. Or it's over the phone, innit? You've got to read out the long card number. Right, 42, 30, 19, 1, 0. Yeah, have you got the expiry date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
12/25.
Yeah. So and I need the number off the last 3 digits off the back, please.
3 digits. 614.
And then they always do that on the phone as well. You've got the postcode where the card's registered to, and you go, oh, hang on a minute, I've had this for a while, this card. I might have moved since then.
Yeah.
Try a M14 OGT. Tay? It's not the word's never left. OGT.
Sorry, Tay is neither a letter nor a number.
Yeah.
Can you?
Hang on a minute, I'll ring you back. It's on top, it's bangers. Give me another card. She's on to us. They're on to us.
So United have scammed a £40 million bid over the phone that was instantly rejected. But they've said the whole time, and please, Lord, do not put me in a situation where at the end of the window, the number they said the whole time, which was between 70 and 80, we go 40. They go no. We go 45. They go 70. We go 50. They go 70. And for 3 months, there is an incremental, them staying at 70 and us adding 5 million every few weeks until the end of the window. We're fucking desperate and we go 70 and they go 80. They did with fucking Anthony.
Do you remember Maguire?
Yeah.
When it was like, Leicester want 80 million for Maguire.
No chance.
United like, no. And it was like negotiations underway. 11 days, the negotiations went on. At the end of those negotiations, United paid 80 million plus 5 million in add-ons. How did we go in to that and come out paying more than what they wanted? What were those negotiations all about? Or the favourite one was where the Wan-Bissaka one, where they went, we want 50 million. Went, well, why don't we give you 40 million?
Yes.
And if we win the Champions League, we'll give you another 10. And they went, you're not even in the fucking Champions League.
Right.
No, we're not going to do that. Give us 50 million. And
Okay,
we went,
all right then. All right, we'll give you 40 million. And if City win the Champions League, we'll give you another 10.
They went, no, you just give us the 50 million.
All right, then if Real Madrid do 3 in a row, we'll give you another 10 then.
We'll just take the 50 million, thank you.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right, we'll have
If
it
there's
then.
another COVID pandemic.
No.
Right, here's one then.
Yeah.
If it turns out that actually saturated fat is good for you,
Yeah.
because they said it was and then they said it wasn't. If they say it is again, we'll give you another £2.
Get out.
Right.
Seriously,
Yeah.
get out.
Okay.
And, all right, we're not, well, right, after 50 million.
million then.
Right, fine. Do you know what I mean? Not a problem.
Can we still pay you another 5 for the saturated fat thing?
Right.
No, we don't care. Right.
Just get out.
Okay.
Like,
so
that is our negotiations.
the offer has been rejected. We will be here the day we pay £70 million for Mason Mount, by the way. We will be bringing you that news. 70 million. I can guarantee you right now, the best case scenario is 55 plus 15 in add-ons.
Yeah.
Somehow, we will be sniffing 70 million for this guy if we buy him. I can guarantee it.
You know
We've
what's
never had a
destined
deal
to
once.
happen? And it always happens.
What?
You'll get one of them lists of the top 10 transfers of the summer or transfers of all time, and he'll be on it. Mount to United will be on it.
Yeah.
Just like Sancho to United was, Mike Maguire to United was, like Pogba to United was, like Lukaku to United was. We always end up doing that. It always ends up on one of those lists of all time. And you're like, hey, how's that happened? He was only here one season, he wasn't even that good. Yeah, he's on that list. We keep doing it, so I'd be very surprised if we don't. The only sort of slight twist in this that might work in our favour, Chelsea have to move some players on.
Yeah.
They have got so many players, they need to start moving them on. And also, he seems keen on a move, and it might just get to the point where Todd Burley just goes, you know what, just get the 50 million or the 60 million for him, and just get him out the door because we need to make some more deals and we need to clear some room in this dressing room because it's rammed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's literally getting changed in the corridor.
Yeah, like that might be our saving grace. Let us know in the comments and the chat, and hit that like button as well. As almost 4,000 people watching. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Let us know what you think about Harry Kane. Let us know what you think about Mason Mount. JM13 says 50 plus 10 mil. SC says, look at Slim Jim J. Impressive weight loss. Thank you,
Yeah,
bro.
you're looking great.
Thanks, bro. Much appreciated. Scott hashtag says, I love the little scenarios Joe and Jay play out for our enjoyment. It's like sketch of the week. Thank you. Trans Tucker says, in Ten Hag we trust.
Yeah.
Mount says, we get Mount and Chelsea get Casado FFS. This is one thing, right? The manager wants Mount. I might not agree with that. He might not be my first choice, might not be yours. He's who Eric Ten Hag wants. Just get him.
Yeah.
Get the manager to play wrongs. Because we keep doing this. Remember last January we were talking about how Ten Hag was interested in, I think it was in Felix, or Felix, sorry, as he's known. And
Rangnick, you mean?
no, it wasn't the January when we were looking at Felix and there was because Rangnick wanted everyone.
Oh, sorry, this January.
Yeah, just
sorry,
gone.
Yeah,
we wanted a striker.
Yeah,
There was reports that Ten Hag initially wanted João Felix, and then it was like the board were like, well, it's going to cost 20 million quid for the just for a loan. We're not doing that. So we went and got Wout Weghorst.
Yeah.
And it's like, just get the manager the one who he wants. If he wants this kid, get him then. And I'm not saying you should have your pants pulled down or whatever, but back him. And it's a gettable transfer.
Yeah.
Mason Mount, who wants to come to United, who hasn't had a very good season at Chelsea, at a club where they have got far too many players in that position anyway, and they need to get rid of some of them. His contract is almost up. It's a tap-in.
Yeah.
That should be a deal you can make happen.
That is like transfer 101.
Yeah.
Any one of those things would be good reason to be able to get someone, let alone all three. He also wants to join United.
He wants to join United.
Yeah.
Terms are not an issue.
Yeah.
He's got 1 year left. It's just everything about it is doable.
Yeah.
And he's not like for them. He's someone who they've been relying on lately. He didn't really have a good season, you know, I think he's a decent player. Get him. Like, let's make that happen. And imagine being Eric Ten Hag where you're like, I wanted this player, you can't have him, you have to have that one. Right, okay. I wanted this player, you can't have him, you have to have that one. In January, I don't think Eric Ten Hag got enough credit because going into that January transfer window, we were fighting on all 4 fronts. We were within touching distance in the league. I know we were never going to win the league. We were in touching distance. We were in the latter rounds of the FA Cup, the League Cup final, and the latter rounds of the Europa League. And he was back with a loan signing of Wout Weghorst and a loan signing of Marcel Sabitzer. Yeah. He should have been back then. He should have been back with transfers.
And also, you're at risk of having a team full of second choices. Like, I know transfers it's always the case. You don't always get your first choice. I get that. And some of the players I'm about to list, I'm glad we got instead. But for instance, it seemed as though last summer Ten Hag wanted Jurrien Timber, and instead he got Lisandro Martinez, which I would never swap them now. I think he's been, one of the best centre backs I've seen in years. But it's not the first choice. It didn't seem to be the first choice. He wanted Frankie de Jong, and instead he got sort of Eriksen and Casemiro to try and do a bit of both. Like, I mean, there's rumours he wanted Cody Gakpo, but I do think Anthony was the first choice. I think that's fair. But like, if you don't get Kane and you just get Højlund and you put Rashford up front or whatever it's going to be, that's another position where it's not what the manager actually wants. Like, if we don't get Mount and we end up getting, I don't even know, let me just pick a name out of thin air, Rabiot or whatever, that's not even out of thin air. We get Rabiot instead of Mount, that's another second choice. Like, at some point, you 2 or 3 years down the line, and the whole fucking team isn't anyone you wanted. No. And you go, well, you've been here 3 years, why aren't you winning? Because he hasn't got anyone he wants. Yeah. Like, that can't be allowed to happen. He needs someone that he actually fucking wants. Yeah. Instead of, well, you can make it work with these lot, can't you? Like, I just think, like you said, if this is the manager we're going to trust, and we're going to trust him to pick the team, we're going to trust him to coach the team, you also have to trust him to a certain extent to buy the team, because otherwise it all sort of breaks down. And unfortunately, from what I've seen of United scouting over the last decade, I don't even really trust the scouts to pick players for Ten Hag. Like, I've got no evidence that United's transfer business is being conducted by people who have any idea what they're doing whatsoever. No. In the last decade, it's been genuinely a disgrace, United's transfers. Embarrassing. We've wasted so much money. We have wasted more money than anyone else in Europe, except maybe now Chelsea after that last summer. Yeah. But over the last decade, it's unquestionable. You look at the list of the biggest spenders of the last decade, United have won the least out of all of them by a mile. Yeah. So I don't trust the scouts or the board or whoever it is picking these players. I do have a bit of trust in Ten Hag. So let's actually try and get him the people he wants.
And also, I think it was Carl Anker when he came on the podcast a few months ago, I know he's been on since, who said you need to support the manager. And sometimes you have to lead him with transfers. Yeah. You can't just rely on him for everything. And it's not a Fergie scenario where he's like, I want this player. Sometimes and even Fergie had players scouted for him. Fergie wasn't in Mexico watching Chicharito. No. That was scouted. Someone scouted for him, and then obviously he signed off on it. You need to go to the manager and go, look, we've got you a player who fits into your system, like Liverpool did with Ten Hag, with Klopp. Yeah. They found players they knew would fit his system, and they got them for him. There needs to be an element of that at United, and there isn't. Yeah. So you've got basically Eric Ten Hag going, the kid that I saw playing for Feyenoord, get him. Yeah. The kid that used to play for me at Ajax, get him. The kid that I played against, get him. The best midfielder in the world who's available, get him. Like, we need a bit more than that, and I think you need to support this manager in transfers and also in scouting. You're spot on, bro. Go on.
I saw that video of Jose, the football heritage video. He was talking about the players who were bought for Pep, who were already there. Yeah. It was like Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, Otamendi, and he lists like 5, 6, 7 players who at the time was sort of doing great things for Pep, who he either didn't pick or were already coming in or were already there when he got there. And it's like Ten Hag arrived to basically a bomb site of a squad. Like pieces of shrapnel from 5 different managers' designs, all being sort of thrown together. They seem to hate each other. They seem to hate playing for United. Some of the results and performances at the end of last season were the worst I've ever seen. And he's got to fix all that. Like, you need a competent team behind the scenes, bringing in players that will work for the next manager and having a consistent vision of what Man United is, rather than just giving the new manager loads of power, then getting a manager who's completely different to the last one. It's just been a joke. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah, go on, son.
Speaking of changing how things have run at Manchester United, this is a big story coming out tonight. coming out of the Mirror that Sheikh Jassim has a plan to increase Manchester United's transfer budget should he become the owner. Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani appears to have promised huge funds if he completes the takeover of the club. He has promised to boost Manchester United's transfer budget by £50 million. Reportedly, Sheikh Jassim has promised to wipe the club's debt in one fell swoop. At the moment, United are paying debt interest payments of around £50 million per year. With the debt being paid off, that would mean an additional £50 million being put into the club's coffers per year. The same could not be said should Jim Ratcliffe be successful in his attempts to buy Manchester United, according to the Mirror. So that's an initial £50 million. I've also seen reports of that there was a report over the last few months that TeamViewer basically hate sponsoring United and that they consider it a massive waste of money and they wish they never did it.
Why would they possibly think that?
Because I think they're spending like 50 million quid a year on a team that is in the Europa League, which I'm not sure they're too keen on.
Are you telling me that TeamViewer, when they set out on this journey with Manchester United, didn't envision their names being emblazoned across the shirt of a team playing Sheriff?
Yeah.
Is that what you're insinuating?
I reckon, do you know, because TeamViewer aren't like a football thing, are they?
Yeah.
They're just like basically like Zoom or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, do you know all the little tactics and tricks that we put into that Wan-Bissaka deal, or tried to?
Yeah.
But Crystal Palace were too smart.
Yeah.
I bet they're all in that TeamViewer deal.
Yeah.
I bet there's an extra £2 million if we win the Champions League. If United win the World Cup, that's 10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Manchester United gets the golden ball at the Copa del Rey, which is just words at this point, TeamViewer will give us an extra.
If United win the Ashes,
if United win the Ashes this summer,
TeamViewer get an extra 50 million quid.
we give them 50 million back, and they've said yes to all of it because they didn't know what was going on.
Some executive's gone to his boss and gone, look what I've got here.
Hey.
If United win the Ashes, we are quids in.
It's free. We basically sponsor them for free.
And listen, his boss is like, this is brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Well done. And then he's Googled
Stanley Cup as well. How good would that be?
And then he's found out like the Ashes, we can't win it.
Yeah.
But it's too late. They've already signed off on it.
So that's why they're good.
Yeah.
So there's also, let's be honest, if we get bought by Sheikh Jassim, the track record of all of the clubs being bought by similar funds of wealth are sponsored by other businesses that are funded by that same fund of wealth within 12 months, aren't they? We've just seen it with Newcastle, we've seen it with City, we've seen it with PSG.
Yeah.
We aren't going to be sponsored by TeamViewer by the end of 2023 if we are bought by Sheikh Jassim. So we're probably going to get another 60 to 70 million on top of that just from that deal.
We're probably going to be sponsored by a company that's got absolutely nothing to do with Sheikh Jassim for about 8 billion a day.
Yeah, a company that was registered
legit.
4 minutes ago.
Yeah, they didn't have a website this morning and now sponsors Manchester United Football Club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Quite simply the largest deal of all time.
And it'll be absolutely legitimate and no one can question it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, this is all conjecture in it. I don't know if we're going to get an extra 50 million, whatever. It's like, you don't know what's going to go on. But you would expect that we are going to have a budget increase if Sheikh Jassim takes over.
This to me it's almost like a maths equation rather than a intentions of Sheikh Jassim equation.
Yeah.
Because basically, United currently pay £50 million in debt repayments. If we have no debt, we have no repayments. That means we have £50 million extra knocking about. This isn't I've spoken to Sheikh Jassim and here's what he said. This is United can't have 50 million in debt to pay off if there's no debt. Therefore, that 50 million could go towards transfers. So it makes sense. I don't think it requires any word from the Qatari bid or Sheikh Jassim himself, but it does sort of stand to reason that we would have an extra 50 million knocking about because we don't have to spend it on debt repayments.
100%. SK says, Jassim is serious about this window and preparing the club. 50 million can be amortised to go further. God, I hope Qatar get this. The Francie Brady says, Jassim is a trust fund kid banker. Who does that remind you of? Other people getting involved in the chat as well. Jonathan Hanley says Qatari Airlines for 100 million a game. Lol. John says Jim Ratcliffe will be in charge, unfortunately. Lee Payne says Hoyland, one for the future. So a few people. We're going to get to Rasmus Hoyland in a little while as well.
Last on this, isn't it fucking embarrassing that we still don't know who the new owners of Man United are? The transfer window opens today, and we don't know who owns Manchester United starting next season. What the fuck? How could they have made this any shitter if they tried the Glazers? They couldn't.
They couldn't have.
Everything they've done at United they have done anywhere between pretty badly and as bad as they possibly could have. There is no like, you know what, they did all right there. They've never done that.
No.
Nothing. Never.
It's because they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
They are literally idiots.
Yeah.
I can't even give them respect of saying, I might dislike them and think they're parasites, but at least they're good business people. They're not. No. They're just spoiled brats. And Daddy bought this club with a load of debt, died, and then they got left the club. Yeah. So they just inherited it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we've got a football club. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a private jet to go and watch the FA Cup final and the Carabao Cup final, costing the club millions of pounds to stand there in front of the fans that hate me. They're just moronic. And that's just the last in a long line of things they've done, which absolutely infuriate me. And it all started when they took over, and they started when Fergie and David Gill left, and it was people like Ed Woodward playing Championship manager with our football club, and they just didn't have a jar of glue at all, and we're still suffering from it now. Even this transfer window, when they think there's light at the end of the tunnel and they're going to leave, even now we're still waiting and we're still suffering, and we're probably going to miss out on transfer targets because the Glazers are too inept to even leave the club properly, let alone run it properly.
Yeah. Min Jae rejects Napoli contract offer. That's our next story. Manchester United target. Min Jae has reportedly turned down a contract from Napoli and is set tongues wagging over a potential move to Old Trafford this summer. What do you make of this then? Part of frantic negotiations, they agreed to put a release clause in Kim's deal, which would allow him to leave for €50 million in the first 2 weeks of July. Erik ten Hag is eager to strengthen his defensive ranks by activating the South Koreans' release clause of around £52 million, which is already £2 million more and now in pounds than the previous sentence. Foot Mercato state that Bayern Munich have entered the race for Min Jae. That's the interesting part of this for me. Bayern Munich now seem to be interested. Foot Mercato saying FC Bayern are interested in Kim as one of the new options for centre-back, as called by Foot Mercato. So that was Fabrizio Romano tweeting that. So we've got to deal with Bayern Munich for him as well now.
Frantic negotiations. Wasn't that the name of your high school band that you started?
It was
with
actually.
your cousin.
Well, no, it wasn't. Band is a strong word. It was a sort of slam poetry meets sort of a one-man band, if that's even possible. So I thought
it was a Hall & Oates tribute band, but it's actually slam poetry.
Well, it was Hall and Captain Oates. Right. It was me and a horse in a one-man band uniform doing sort of a slam poetry.
Performing for the Year 7s, we have Frantic Negotiations.
Just giving it tic-tacs and that. Come on. That was it, yeah. It was. I'd tell you what, it was poor.
Yeah.
Looking back, it was poor, and it was ill-fated.
I mean, this is obviously a player. We talk about who Erik ten Hag wants. He wants this kid.
Yeah.
He's gettable. £52 million nowadays for a player who's just won Serie A and is highly respected and thought of. Yeah, like, come on, man. This is another one where it should be an easy deal to make happen. Yeah. There's no excuses. I mean, I think there is a scenario where we end up with Min Jae, Mason Mount, Rasmus Højlund and no one else. But if we don't get those, and we get plan B for those players, that is disastrous. Yeah. I mean, that's not good enough for me, getting those three.
No.
You need more than that.
We need someone who takes the team up a notch.
Yeah.
Because you could argue, like I did with Tottenham last summer, that if everyone's fit, you think Mount could replace Eriksen, but that's no guarantee. You could argue that the first 11 hasn't even been improved with those three players. No. Do you know what I mean? If you put in sort of Garnacho on the left, Rashford up front, Anthony or Sancho on the right, Højlund might not even start. There's a chance that that Mount doesn't start over Eriksen, and there's a chance that he doesn't start over Martinez or Varane.
No,
so we can't,
I agree.
You know, it bulks the squad out, but it doesn't make you any more likely to win the big trophies. It makes you more likely to win a Europa League.
I know,
which we're not even in.
I don't like to panic. It's literally on the first day of the transfer window.
Exactly.
But when you do see these things that are happening, and you don't know who your owners are, and every day seems to be another twist in the tail with the ownership, and a little bit of confusion, and we're going in low-balling offers, it does make you think like, and of other clubs, big clubs, are sniffing round players that we want. And if you're a player, and you're like, well, I might go to Manchester United, but I might not. I don't know if they're going to come up with the money for me, or I can go to Bayern Munich. It's difficult, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Unless you're a die-hard United fan, there's a good chance you'll go, right, well, if Bayern Munich are offering the money, and I can definitely go there, then I'll take that. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about Min Jae, what you think about the situation with Mason Mount, what you think about the situation with Harry Kane as well. Harry Kane done, Mason Mount happening, hopefully, £40 million bid rejected. Min Jae, isn't going to stay at Napoli. United want him. Eric Ten Hag wants him. He's got a £52 million buyout clause, but other big clubs are sniffing round him. So it isn't going to be all plain sailing. There's loads of people in the chat.
Yeah, go on.
I'll just read out a couple of them now. Make sure you are hitting that like button as well. Abhinav Verma says, can we offer the Glazers in exchange for players? I wish we could, but we won't get any money for him. United Till I Die says, we need Kane. No, we need goals. Jaseth says, we want Casado. JM13 says, Kane would have been great. Pinch Weasel says, Kim being Korean. United will be his first pick, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's playing on the potential idea that Park Ji-sung's was one of the sort of a huge star, the biggest star in Korean football when Kim Min Jae was growing up, wasn't he? Yeah. He was the most famous Korean player, and he was playing for Manchester United. Maybe that's giving him some
I think it's because John Shin is Korean heritage, and he's the biggest United fan in the world.
Well,
and he influences everyone.
Those two
Not just Koreans, he just influences everyone in the world.
Those two things put together, you can't argue that.
Hit the like button, people. Come on, there's over 4,400 people watching. Not got to 1,000 likes yet. Yes. That is a disgrace. Let's go on to the next story.
Bit of good news, Jay.
Go on.
The Premier League has banned fully leveraged buyouts. So
fantastic. You know, all we need now is a time machine to go back to 2005, stop the Glazers from buying us, and we can dominate football forever.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
My favourite bit about this, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, the decision comes amid Man United's takeover process. The Glazer family financed the majority of the £790 million purchase of United in 2005 through loans, some of which being secured against club assets. The owners and directors test was introduced by the Premier League a year earlier to ensure the buyers are fit and proper. I love that. That thing that got brought in had its first proper test within a year of existing. First proper test, and they just went, yeah, fuck it, that should be all right. Letting someone buy the club using their own money. No, using what the club owns against the owned club itself. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
And yet, you know, that fit and proper, or the owners and directors tests still stands to this day and has been fucking shit for almost everyone involved ever since. The test looks for red flags that would prohibit potential new owners from taking command of a club, such as past convictions, providing inaccurate information, and conflicting interests in other clubs. I mean, talk about conflicting interests in other clubs. The links between United and PSG are strong, to say the least. The Qatari bid and PSG are strong, to say the least. The interest between Ineos and Nice are strong, to say the least, and one of those two is going to be by Manchester United. So that conflict of interest with other clubs still seems to be bullshit as well. But yeah, the funny thing about this, it was apparently a unanimous vote.
Unreal.
Manchester United and the Glazers voted against the way that they bought Manchester United.
They looked at it and they went, buying a club like that is crazy.
Disgusting.
That is disgusting. There's no way on God's earth anyone should be allowed to buy a club like that. What about you? No. You bought a club like that.
Yeah, but
anyone else?
Yeah.
Other we're all right.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, like
I've always said that.
I don't want anyone else to do to a club what we've done to United.
Yeah, because it wasn't
Trust
nice.
me, you don't want it either.
So I don't think this is going to affect how United are taken over in the future. Again, this thing, the conflict of interest in other clubs, PSG, Nice, these are two absolute fucking elephants in the room, but with, I would say, creative accounting, but it doesn't even seem like it needs to be that creative. All you have to do is lie, come up with another foundation, another company, filter your money through that, and you can get around what is, you know, that meme of that bloke who's outside the ground, and he's like scanning people to get in, and he's put your arms out, and he's just going like that to everyone.
Yeah.
Go in. That's what the fit and proper persons test is. Yeah, just checking.
It is, isn't it? That's a really good meme.
Go in. Like, it is shit. Anything you see on there can still happen because people will work around it as they always do. Let's move on because it actually pisses me off that a little bit. Imagine the gall in fucking voting against the thing that you did to buy a club. What the fuck are you on about? United's priorities. This is from Chris Wheeler. We saw a tweet from him earlier. He's saying that United need to stretch their budget this summer to make signings they want. He said United won't meet the asking price for Harry Kane, but I think the crucial part of this for me is that last sentence there. A striker, midfielder and goalkeeper are United's priorities this summer. New centre-back and winger would also be dependent on players being sold. This is the first time I think I've seen anyone say we are prioritising a goalkeeper. it always felt like that was like a sort of an afterthought, a maybe, and if someone becomes available, we're keeping eyes on. Do you know these phrases? Chris Wheeler's the first one I've seen say we are prioritising a striker, a midfielder, and a goalkeeper. Have you seen anyone say that up until now?
No, not that I can recall. I mean, someone might have somewhere.
Yeah.
But we have been doing the news between us every day for the last 3 years basically. So I think one of us would have noticed it. I haven't, but we are hearing a lot of noises around the goalkeeping that David De Gea could be off to Saudi Arabia, that he's still not signed a new deal, which is slightly odd, considering fact that
his deal runs out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, like to leaving it that late, and also the fact that everyone seems to be going to Saudi Arabia and for silly money, and he could probably do that. And
wouldn't it be funny if he's the first player to go to Saudi Arabia for less than he's on now? Because Saudi Arabia get his contract go 375 grand. Are you fucking having a laugh?
We've got money, but we haven't got that money.
We're not
that
mental.
Stupid. We get what a bit of value. We'll give you 300.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh right, okay. United only offered me half of that. Sound. But also as well with David De Gea, and I'm not hating on the guy because he wants to go and save that money. Fair play to him. But I don't think even international football's a consideration for him.
No.
Because he's 31, I think, or 32, 31. But he's not getting in the Spain squad anytime soon. He's certainly not going to be Spanish number one anytime soon.
No.
And I think he might think, right, I can go there, earn a ridiculous amount of money. I know he's got like a family though as well, so there's other considerations. But this all makes sense.
Yeah.
A striker, a midfielder, and a goalkeeper. We need all those. We know we do. I think even the most sort of ardent David De Gea supporters have admitted he needs at least a challenge of someone who can become number one. So it's not just him and no one else really, because Jack Butland, who's already left obviously, and Tom Eaton were never going to take over from that number one spot. Yeah. So I think even the ones that are proper pro David De Gea go, well maybe we need to bring someone in and they can rotate or whatever. No, we need a better goalkeeper. I'm sorry, I love David De Gea, been a great servant over the years, but we can't ignore what is going on. And I think it is time for him to move on, and, with our blessing, obviously. A striker, you'd have to have been absolutely in a coma for the last year to not realise Manchester United need a new number 9.
Yeah, I think the other two are, we've seen more of that, but it was the goalkeeper one that struck me as maybe this is going to be the start of slightly more realistic, not realistic, but slightly firmer reports and rumours around a new goalkeeper. Because at the minute, like I said, it's been United are keeping track of Diogo Costa. United have made initial approaches for David Raya, and like these sorts of phrases. Monitoring, initial approaches, keeping tabs, keeping track, all of that sort of shit. Whereas now maybe we're about to see who the actual kind of spectrum of potential targets are, and we might actually get one. Especially, now let's be honest, if we aren't going to get Harry Kane, there's a chance that we spend 50% of that, maybe 100 million we're willing to spend on Kane. Maybe 50% of it goes on a new position. But by the sound of it, we wanted Kane and Højlund. Yeah. So I don't think that the Kane and the Højlund budget were the same thing. Maybe now we spend a bit more on a midfielder and we go for a first choice goalkeeper. Yeah. Because, I know obviously you can maybe tick over some of that budget, but it's very rare that you see teams, except Chelsea who had a transfer ban, you don't usually see teams have a small window and then have a gigantic one. It's usually roughly the same every year, isn't it? So, especially with United. So I think maybe we might see a bit more budget going towards a goalkeeper replacement for De Gea, or certainly someone to challenge him. And I think personally, that's a really good idea.
Rory sees, yeah, I agree. I always thought leverage buyouts was banned shortly after the Glazers bought United. No, it isn't. Andy Tate in the chat as well, he mentioned the fact that meme you spoke about was used as some sort of training video for the security at Old Trafford.
What, of how not to do it?
Yeah, I presume so, because it can't be an example of best practice, can it?
No.
When you're searching people, make sure you better touch them. I didn't like that video, though.
Why?
So I felt like it's grassing.
Yeah, I don't like. Oh yeah, I don't like the fact that someone's filmed it.
Filming him and go look at what a crap job
what
this guy's doing.
What do you want? Someone strip search. Everyone's getting strip searched.
Like I thought it was like, oh, I know, I get it. It was funny and it's been used as an example of like, oh, this is like, I prefer that meme of the grounds, the stewards trying to stop the pitch invasion. I can't remember what game it is, where it's just like players just run, people just running through, and they're like. And it's like, what can you do when there's like thousands of fans, or not even thousands, like dozens of fans running on, and they're like, help me.
I want more of these noises, Jay, and I want them to happen every time my phone rings.
Miss Man United and Nicole are in the chat as well. Big fans of them two, especially Nicole, I mean, especially Miss Man United, is my better half, of course. What's next?
I think that's everything.
That's everything.
That's all.
We've only got. I know, no, Joe. I'm not having it because we've not got to 1,000 likes.
Yeah, that is a disgrace.
How the hell have we got over 4,500 people watching this video,
come on, don't be silly.
and we've not got to 1,000 likes?
Yeah, that's a good
that
point,
is
that.
unreal. Hit that like button. Doc Rock has joined the academy. Thanks for your support as well. If you are a member of our membership, if you join our members section, you get extra content. You get to go in our Telegram group, and we do put like quite a few videos. You've done is what you've done going on there today?
Yes.
Which is?
The United Rewind podcast, where we revisit an old United game, go through it, talk about what was going on. Me and Daniel Harris as well, so that's good. Always check that one out. But
yes.
They all go up exclusively on the member
I
section.
like that as well because it's times when we were good.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
It's like,
that's what
just
it should
reminisce.
be. Yeah.
That's like me and Steve on the brew on a Friday. We just reminisce all the time because it's like, let's remember when we were just mint and we used to win loads of things. But those times will return.
They will.
They will. Once we get in, Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount and Kim Min Jae. Yeah. The world is our oyster. Hopefully there'll be more transfers to come as well, and we will always keep you posted. Rick Jones, welcome to the Academy. Thank you to listening to me and joining as well. I love it when people do that. Big thank you to everyone who's shown us your support over the last, since we took over. We have got as well the tour coming up, so we're going to be on the tour in America. There's going to be all of us there, me, Joe, Stephen Alson, Adam McCullough as well. So we're going to be covering all the games over there. Look out for some events we'll be doing over there as well. If you are over in the States, we want to meet up with you guys. You've got a big interview tomorrow, haven't you? Talk about it. You can tell everyone. Yeah,
we're going to be chatting to Dharmesh Sheth from Sky Sports News. Obviously one of the most sort of clued in journalists. You see him all the time on TV. We're going to be getting the details on the Glazers, who's going to be the next Manchester United owners, who United are after, transfer targets, latest on Mount, latest on Højlund, who else can we get a target in that number 9 position. All of those good things coming tomorrow, so make sure you check that out.
Yeah, that'll be out tomorrow afternoon. I'll be here in the morning with the news as well. The fixtures get released tomorrow, which is interesting, isn't it? And it's one of those, though, we always put the fixtures like, you know who you play, don't you? Unless you're Liverpool, in which case you play Southampton 7 times a month.
Yeah.
But it's just a case of, are you going to get a tough set of fixtures early doors? That is going to be the big one. And obviously, when have we got City? When have we got Liverpool? When have we got, not Leeds anymore because they've been relegated?
What are City going to do next year? Because similar to Liverpool, they play Bournemouth at home 6 times a year.
They do, don't they? They love a bit of Bournemouth at home, don't they?
They love Bournemouth at home.
They love a nice Wolves away.
Yeah.
Rory C says, would you guys pick up Seamus Coleman on a free? Great going forward and in defence, the best of both Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Delo. I'm with my friend.
Maybe 10 years ago.
I think Seamus Coleman comes in and is our third choice.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really think that. I think now we need to start planning for the next 2 or 3 years. I think all our transfers ideally need to be based around that, because the only one I thought would have broke the mold for that would have been Harry Kane. We ain't getting him, but we could be getting others. I'll be back in the morning. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, make sure you go and check him out as well. You know where to find me. That's been Joe. I've been Jay. This has been Transfers Live. Oh, just bang my hand. Thanks for watching.